even know what a sardine was before this came out?
I did.
But did you eat it with pork and beans?
Dr. Natalie Hopkinson recalls trying to attempt small talk by asking the woman beside her, "So are you a go-go fan?" And to many, go-go is not just a genre of music. It's the soul of DC, also known as Chocolate City. Together, the musicians and the crowd create the music live through a collaborative conversation of sounds, dances, and chants. We visited Dr. Natalie Hopkinson in the Go-Go Museum and Cafe for a tour and to learn more about what makes go-go so undeniably irresistible.
Go-go is music that was created in 1976 by Chuck Brown, the godfather of go-go. It is a polyrhythmic art form with rhythms from Afro-Latin beats to different forms of percussion from West Africa. It's a spiritual force, it's a political force, and it is the official music of Washington, D.C. And go-go is one of the only forms to not be colonized, meaning not under corporate control. A unique feature of go-go is that the audience is part of the band. Sugar Bear from EU has said this. Go-go is 90% the audience because it doesn't work unless they're involved.
Kelly Lemon once again, Sonic Threads. We are out and about, and this time we are with Mike Millions and we're talking go-go.
Okay.
What's your love for go-go?
Oh, I got a lot of love for go-go. As a kid, I ran around with a go-go band. Shout out to New Dimensions. My rap name actually comes from Big Stefan, the lead singer of New Dimensions go-go band. So shout out to New Dimensions. Shout out to Richmond. Shout out to DC.
Yeah,
You know,
and
go-go is us.
And you gotta put Richmond and Virginia in the mix when it comes to DC because we're so close, right? And it was nothing for Chuck Brown to hit Kanawha Plaza every Friday at sunset. Yeah.
Classic,
Yeah.
classic. And if you from the city, we connected to go-go just like they is.
Yeah,
So we got a lot of love for it.
We're gonna play some songs for Mike, and we're gonna get his reaction. So let's go with it. First song. Oh. Yeah, this is a classic right here. Let's do it. Yes. So you want to get down?
Yeah. I mean, yo, I start instantly smelling the grill.
Yeah. Right.
That's the grill smell.
Yeah, that is.
That's your uncle with his sandals.
Yeah. And he
Come on.
Yeah, and it might not even be your uncle, but on that day, he's your uncle on that day. Yeah.
You want to get up, y'all. Let's get small.
Go-go is this amazing, flexible container, but the thing that characterizes it is the beat and the pocket. The pocket is the moment in the live performance context where all of the percussionists sort of lock in together. It's like this moment of ecstasy. You know it when you see it because the crowd is going crazy, the drums are going crazy, and it's sort of like the climax of the night. And not everybody knows how to do it, but the go-go percussionists know how to do it. I mean, they are the griots. They are the carriers of the culture. When they're doing their shout-out, they're doing the roll call, which is another exhibit where we explain the roll call. It's very important in go-go, where you're shouting out different people, different neighborhoods. That lead talker has to know who they're looking at, or they have to find out.
What idea came to me when Smokey Robinson had a song called "Going to the Go-Go da dee da 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 dee da dee doo." So now that gave me an idea to call this particular type of music go-go because it just keeps going and going and going and it don't stop. So by the time 1976 rolled around, I had been working on this thing. We were doing top 40, and I used to have to break down and do the percussion. And when you break down and do that percussion, they had them congos up in there and them timbales and that Los Latino flavor, which I stole from them when I left. Everybody started getting into that. We'd break that percussion down and start communicating with the audience, call and response, calling names, birthdays. They calling back. They bring me notes, write notes, Chuck say this about me, Howard University, blah, blah, blah. And I'm mentioning all that, Northwest, Northeast, all four corners of D.C. Everybody loving. Next thing you know, all the tables and chairs in all those places that we were playing, tables and chairs started disappearing. The mink coats and the suits started disappearing. They parties too hard. They can't dress up now. You know what I mean? All the tables and chairs disappeared. That's what really made me feel good. Everybody dancing.
Break it on down.
Oh.
Must be like
Oh, wow.
must be like that. Come on.
And I'm gonna bring up something else once we finish talking about this, but
Yeah.
because you know, again, someone that is a pioneer of hip hop, however, is on a lot of go-go tracks.
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
right here? Yes.
Shout out to Dougie Fresh, Curtis Blow, LL Cool J.
Yeah.
You already know Salt and Pepper and Kid and
Oh yeah.
Slade. Herbie Lovebug was all over those joints. This is the greatest band of all time. I don't care what anybody says. You can argue with me all day. Essence.
Yeah.
They're the ones. They're the ones.
And again, like you said, they still have longevity. Although
Yeah.
some of these cats are way in their prime, their kids or their
Yeah.
family members or their friends' kids that love music have jumped in to keep the legacies going, right?
Oh, yeah. And especially with this, because it's like there's young bands still coming up. Like, that's what's been keeping the go-go culture alive.
Yeah.
Like, you still have young kids doing it as well, which also just introduces actual musicianship.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
that part.
Like, yo, these dudes, these are real instruments being played. There's no drum machine. There's no samplers. Yo, Cass is on the drums. Cass is on the guitar. Cass is on the bass. You got somebody hitting the cowbell and the triangle
That's-
sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, if I was in the band, that triangle would be mine. You hear me? I'm a ting at the right time.
When you're talking about like a spiritual figure, Chuck Brown, who's an ancestor who's still with us, his energy and his brilliance and his creation is what allowed us to be here. He was somebody born in North Carolina to sharecroppers, moved to DC area as a small child, had a lot of struggles with the law, with trying to survive himself. He was in and out of jail. And he was actually at Lorton Reformatory in Virginia when he traded, I think it was 4 cartons of cigarettes for a homemade guitar. And that's how he learned to play the guitar. And when he came home, he got out, he was able to make a living for himself as a musician. And so he shared that testimony. He's sort of like a living testimony for many people who struggle in this area and continue to struggle in this area. Finding a place, finding a way to be useful. And he showed a whole generation of people that you can be useful as an artist.
One more time. I don't hear you.
The Go-Go Family Tree is an interactive exhibit where we try to document as many of the originators of go-go as we could. Chuck Brown created the sound in 1976. There were several other younger bands that sort of looked up to him. Rare Essence was established around that same time. EU was already around since 71, but it was not a go-go band. It became a go-go band when they too were trying to eat, and they realized that you either you adopted the go-go sound or you didn't work in DC. Trouble Funk released one of the first go-go recordings, and they've been sampled hundreds of times by hip-hop artists. So that's another exhibit where you hear the original Trouble Funk song, that you can hear all of the times that it's been sampled. Then in the next wave of go-go bands, you have people like Junkyard Band, who was super important. They started in Berry Farms, also here in Southeast Washington. They were a group of kids playing on made-up instruments, whatever they could find, hubcaps, buckets, and have turned into become one of the most iconic go-go bands. Then the new school is like, comes around. They sort of come in around the 90s. Backyard Band, they looked up to Junkyard Band, so that's how they took their name. They were more influenced by hip hop. So that's sort of like, some people called it gangster go-go, because it was sort of like that real street songs that really told about the truth of what was happening.
We gotta show each other love. I want everybody like that.
And then the next wave after the new school is bounce beat, which is where I entered the chat in the early 2000s. That's when I started covering it for the Washington Post, TCB, UCB, and they had this Beat Your Feet song, which is like, that's turned to this whole movement, dance movement. Go-go had been criminalized for a generation. They really struggled to get access to clubs. The music was taken out of the schools by this point. So the new school was more harder edge, but then Grown and Sexy came about because this is under criminalization where clubs would not book go-go bands. So, you know, as Mo says, they snuck go-go in wearing camouflage. Maisha was a powerhouse vocalist. She was doing like a 70s retro band. And so she had the afro wigs and the bell bottoms and Sugar Bear from EU, Juju House, who's the percussionist for EU, and Junie Henderson, Sweet Cherie. They started doing a little go-go set at the end. Like the crank came at the end. They created a whole genre, Grown and Sexy. That was the formula that all these other bands, so that's another of our waves is Grown and Sexy after the new school.
We play a couple songs. And we're going to react to those songs. We're going to take
it back.
We're going to take, oh, don't do that. We're going to react to those songs. We're going to take it back to a time and a place when the first time we may have heard these songs or these artists and how we feel about it. And if you feel the spirit, or if I give you a little, don't be scared. I know you're not.
I can't be scared.
I know you're not. I know you're not, because I could do this to you. All right.
I can't be scared.
Here's our first song.
Am I ready?
Yeah. You already knew what you did. You already knew what you did. Hey! Tisa got a big old what? Oh, yeah! See? That's what I'm saying. Like, again, you already knew.
It's classic. It's classic. It's classic.
Yeah.
If you don't know this, I don't know where you've been. Where have you been?
Because he also incorporated songs with regular hip-hop artists,
That's
right?
right.
You think about Salt and Pepper and some of the other like hip-hop artists that worked with EU, Sugar Bear, and stuff like that. Again, our natural reaction was to hit this move, right?
Yeah,
like,
we can all do that.
and our knees should not be hitting this move no more.
We can still do that.
Okay.
You just can't get low.
Get low.
Can't
Get back up.
Can't get low.
When you get low. Yeah. So do you remember when you heard the song? When you first heard the song? Do you remember?
I mean, it had to be on campus. I mean, but I don't remember exactly where I was, but I just remember everybody went, hey!
And also hope that your name was in the song. Remember? And
Yeah,
your
but-
name is a little unique. So Tisa got a big old butt.
You can make it sound like you heard your name.
Yeah.
You would make something up. Like, that was me.
Yeah, but you waited. I remember. I waited for Kelly. The thing about go-go music for me is being in college in the 90s. Again, like it introduced, whether or not you went to a HBCU or a PWI, you knew that when you heard that music, you felt like there was a community. There were people that were surrounding you just based off the beats. Let's also, I mean, when we talk about Chuck Brown and when it comes to Richmond, like it was every summer you went to go see Chuck Brown at Fridays at Sunset. And the other thing about the Go-Go's, and especially in the 90s, is that we were going through a transition of just some hard times. People were just struggling. Violence was heavy and on a rise, but you didn't fight at a go-go. Fighting at a go-go was whack. Like, it was real whack. Yeah. So, but that's why I think my genre loves it. And again, watching School Days, I was raised on a HBCU campus. I knew what that looked like. But for some, especially Black Americans, that was their first introduction to what college life could possibly be like. And so you're looking at this gym jam where everybody is sweating and you got this band with these horns and these beats, right? You know, like it's just heavy in there. And so like you just think about all of those things when that's what takes me back to go-go music. So, and I like the way now that the newbies have really like taking it to another level. Like you got your son on stage now, like literally doing the same exact thing. I mean, if you closed your eyes, you still hear Chuck.
Now the question mark is, what's going to be next? And that is for the young people to decide. I just hope that they decide and that they take time to learn from the legends, because they're here and they can teach them about both musically, but more like spiritually. Like, how do you keep the vibe for 50 years? We need to get on the dance floor together. We need to feel our heartbeats together, but mostly feel the energy, right? And feel the love, and feel the community that go-go is.
To learn more about Go-Go, you can order a copy of Dr. Hopkinson's book, Go-Go Live, The Musical Life and Death of Chocolate City. Visit the Go-Go Museum and Cafe and check out Dig DC, a digital archive created by the People's Archives. You can find that at DC Public Library's website. I'm Kelly Lemon. Thank you for watching Sonic Threads.